It takes discipline. It takes purpose, man, to do something like knowing, because those guys had families, they had children, and to go down and know that you're going to risk it all to save a man. We were pretty heavy. And as we were flying away, the number one engine went out. We lost lift, hit a tree, snapped the rotor blades off, and we turned into a giant lawn dart. And went flying through the jungle with no lift, crashed. And that was the one that paralyzed Tom for the rest of his life. In fact, he's still paralyzed to this day. And yeah, it was a bad thing. Actually, there was a couple of guys that were paralyzed. I ended up with a broken back. Spent 5 months in a body cast. But I'm okay. My back still functions, and I'm still standing up, so I'm grateful for that. But that's the life and times of a Delta operator, and that's just one of thousands of stories. Black Hawk Down. There's that. In fact, Black Hawk Down was really about one team out of several teams, so they couldn't pack it all in one movie. But
wait, you were in that?
I went there. Yeah, so that's another story too. Gary Gordon was my.
Well, please do tell.
Yeah, I won't. Yeah, Gary Gordon was one of the Medal of Honor winners. He was actually on my team in the operator training course, so I knew Gary really well. And the story with him, obviously, he went fast roped in, knowing he's not going to come back out. Him and Randy Shugart, and to save Michael Durant, the pilot, from when the helicopter got shot down. And the coolest part about the story is these guys kept asking for permission 3 times. We'd like to go in. We would like to insert. And the commander's like, you know what you're asking, right? He goes, yeah, we know what we're asking. We want to go in and insert because the crew might still be alive. So they fast roped in 2 guys, man, 2 snipers. And they were getting it on, man, with a lot of Somalis, a lot of them. And close range combat. And finally got down to Randy was the first one, I believe, to get killed after prolonged engagement. And then it got to the point where Gary... He ran. They pulled Michael Durant, the pilot, out. He was still alive, and they put him like in a little hooch. He had a broken back. He was in bad shape, and Gary ran in with a car 15. He goes, "There's 5 bullets left in this weapon, sir. Good luck." And he ran back out to pull his pistol. That's all he had left, and he went down pretty hard after that. So that's just one of the stories. Both Randy and Gary got the Congressional Medals of Honor for that. And so it takes cojones, it takes discipline, it takes purpose, man, to do something like knowing, because those guys had families, they had children, and to go down and know that you're going to risk it all to save a man, man, there's no greater love than that, and there's just no greater love than that. And I hate when I hear people, badmouth in the military and we're a bunch of mindless machines to do what the government says. That's a bunch of BS. Okay.
I don't hear a ton of people doing that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have. And I read a quite a bit, and so at the end of the day, hats off, and I'm not saying hats off to me, but to those that have really given it all, man, those guys. And I've lost a lot of friends, and, man, the saddest story, one of the saddest stories was I had a friend who was a SEAL. Yeah, he's a SEAL. And he and I worked together with the government, right? We'll call it that. And great guy. Him and his wife couldn't have kids, for a long time. He wanted a child so bad. And
is this post-career on contract
this
stuff?
this is when I was a government contractor, for the Alphabet company. So one day, They were trying to adopt a child. And one day they were able to adopt a child. A little, I believe it was a black baby. I can't remember. From the mom, a little girl, and he was so happy, man. He was just elated. I was really happy for him because I really saw, man, how bad they wanted these kids for over the years. And soon, about a year later, man, he got killed in Iraq. Hit a IED, and he was in what was basically an MRAP. It's an armored car. They're heavy, they're big, and this thing got launched in the air like 60 feet, and killed everybody inside the vehicle. And I'm like, man, he's had a year ago. He adopted this little baby. They were waiting forever, and boom, just like that, he's gone. And there's a lot of stories like that, and again, these are good men doing. And I don't want to say God's work, but they're doing the right thing, man. They're in the process of trying to help other people. When people talk about, Iraq and Afghanistan and some of the places I've been to, good people, man, have been oppressed badly, especially by Saddam Hussein. I've seen what he's done. I've been to the palaces, the sex palaces. These guys I've interviewed witnesses. I remember one particular farmer. His property bordered Uday's property, the son of Saddam Hussein, right? And his cows wandered over to their property. There's no fence line there, but his cows were over there. He went to get them back, and they're like, "Hey, get off the property." "Oh, those are my cows." "No, they're our cows now, right?" And he's, "No, those are my cows." "Oh yeah, those are your cows. Watch this." And they literally rounded up his wife and his kids, executed all of them in front of him. Go, whose cows are they now? Right? And they let him live, by the way. And that was his story. And that was quite common to hear stuff like that, Go into a building and you see scuff marks on the walls, right, from shoes, where they were literally hanging kids and adults from the rafters, hanging them, and they were kicking with their feet, and they're off the walls, and the scuff marks were being left on the walls, okay? When you see stuff like that, when you hear stories about how Saddam, these sex palaces he had, they were really big palaces, swimming pools, all kinds of crap. He would literally send his guys out, his henchmen, and they would literally drive down the road and find the best looking girls they could find. I didn't care if they were married or not. And that's a hot one there. Boop, they round them up. And guess what? You're going to be partying at Saddam Hussein's palace tonight, whether you want to or not. And they literally had sex dungeons, chains, handcuffs, cocaine, and they're banging these girls, and they did whatever they wanted to these people.
If you look right here, just past where this picture on the wall is of the skyline, so a little up, maybe about 10, 15 blocks, I believe, we'll have to double check this. I think it was across from Michael Bloomberg's townhouse or whatever it is in Manhattan on the Upper East Side. Saddam Hussein had a place there that was a torture dungeon for his guys, his intel guys, to go find dissidents or whatever in America. They'd take them there into the basement and they'd just fucking...
See?
I mean, it's animal shit.
The world is full of evil. And here's what pisses me off, particularly about Americans, is a lot of people haven't even left the boundaries of their state, let alone the borders of the country, And then when they do leave, I've left the country before. They went to Cancun. So what, That's not leaving the country, I've lived in over 100, traveled to and worked in over 101 countries. Okay, I've been all around the planet, man. I've been everywhere, and I've had the opportunity to see how other people live, how they're treated, what they think of us, and it's very different from what people read in the media in America.
Oh yeah.
In a lot of ways, a lot of people hate us. For example, I live in Bali, as we talked about before the show. I live in Bali. I have a home also in the Philippines, and I have a home in Panama City Beach, Florida, which is where I'm currently at. Just came in a couple of days ago. But and when we talk about freedom and police